and let's then move on to this conversation. Cosatu says it has not formally endorsed any candidate for leadership in the upcoming ANC National Conference. Now, the Federation says any reports suggesting that it has thrown its weight behind anyone are simply not true. So this means that they will not be campaigning for any candidate, but will support those elected, as they say in their statement. Let's now speak to Sizwe Pamla, who is a spokesperson for Cosatu. Sizwe, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The decision not to back anyone has been seen by some as an indication of some fractured relations between yourselves and your alliance partner. Is that the case?
Not really, no. Look, if you remember, in our 14th National Congress, we spent a lot of time talking about the configuration of the alliance. That is really what we are trying to focus on. So this particular ANC conference is very important because there are some policy positions that we want to support and pursue in this conference. We are also interested in seeing an ANC that is seriously committed to the process of review. So indeed, we are still very much interested in this conference. But on the issue of leadership, the 14th National Congress did not really give us any mandate. The issue was never put on the table. As a result, the CEC that was convened last week also did not pronounce on leadership. So it's more a question of the focus of the Federation. The Federation is focused on things: the reconfiguration of the alliance, and number two, the policy positions that will come out of that conference, and not really the issues.
I'll get to the reconfiguration of the alliance in just a moment, but are you saying that there wasn't even a concern from the workers around the reneging of that 3-year wage deal, which caused some serious issues with government? And we do know, of course, that the government is an ANC-led one. Did that not form part of some of the issues by some of the workers themselves?
No, look, it's an issue that workers have raised. But here's an issue. This is how we actually understand what is happening in government. The biggest mistake that we think we all committed was in 2017, when there was a resolution that was tabled to actually take the issue of budgetary processes to the office of the president. There was a resolution in the policy conference. That resolution was never adopted by the 54th National Conference of the ANC. This is where we think we lost the fight, because it's easy to, of course, say, look, the president is in charge of the administration, so he's responsible. But when you look at what that resolution was trying to address, it was trying to address the gaps that were identified. To say, actually, the budget processes in government are not located in the office of the president. So the president himself doesn't have the power constitutionally to actually impose his authority over the budget process. So since that resolution was never adopted, we have come to appreciate that maybe if we had adopted that resolution in that conference, then we will be to directly accuse him, to say he's solely responsible for what is happening. But understanding the processes that have to take place before he himself comes to contribute and participate in that process, we are not necessarily saying he's individually responsible for the mess that
in another issue, of course, around the president, I mean, in a statement that you released just after the Phala Phala report, you said that you are monitoring the evolution of the parliamentary process around this Phala Phala saga in the National Assembly. You've seen what has happened so far in the public domain. How are your thoughts then on what have you seen around this issue?
Well, the way we have approached this issue of the Phala Phala saga is that we are reacting to it as, firstly, voters and as one of the social partners representing workers. So we are very much interested in keeping the stability of government, but also allowing the constitutional processes and the rule of law to take its course. So what we have witnessed so far is that here's a report that has come out. Let's allow Parliament to process this, follow all the necessary processes. But also, let's give the president an opportunity to respond. And in doing so, he needs to also take South Africans on board, because this is not an ANC issue. Actually, this is a South African issue. So as voters, as citizens, as taxpayers, we need to hear from the president. We also need to, we have to commend Parliament for actually holding the executive to account. But in doing so, we also need to allow the president an opportunity to respond. Let him, if he feels it is difficult, that there are areas to be contested in that report, let's give him an opportunity, because this is a process of consolidating democracy, holding the executive to account, but also of actually attending to one of the biggest issues facing our government in the last year.
So, Sizwe, pardon me for coming in there. I just don't want to lose you on that point. You're saying that the president must take the nation into his confidence with this journey and take them on this journey as well around the developments here. It sounds to me like you are not satisfied with how he's handled it on the nation front, because we're still none the wiser. He hasn't spoken to the nation. He hasn't told the nation about these developments, despite an anticipation that he would have an address.
Indeed. Look, we do appreciate that he needed some time to go through the report. We do appreciate that maybe his legal team gave him an advice to say this is what we need. But as a nation, indeed, you're right, we do need to hear from the president on this issue, because this is an issue that really affects all of us. I mean, over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about some positive offshoots. I mean, the GDP numbers have gone up 1.6% for the third quarter. We have absorbed something like 200,000 unemployed people when it comes to unemployment statistics. This is the kind of conversation, these are the issues that we want to focus on. So when the president is facing these kinds of allegations, it's created the level of uncertainty that we cannot afford. We need to be focusing on these big ticket items that are facing the nation. So what we are saying is that we want him to be given that time to reflect on and analyze the report, but he needs to come out and address the nation, take us on board, so that we have a sense that the center is still holding. And let's allow Parliament to do what we elected them to. We elected our representatives. Let's trust them that they will do what we elected them to hold the executive accountable. And let's trust our constitutional processes. We signed up for this, that will subject people to scrutiny, but will also not bulldoze the processes.
Yeah.
We also allow the processes to unfold without us interfering.
So, Sizwe, we're almost out of time, but I can't help and ask you this, because in your statement, you talk about, an ANC that you'll support the leadership, of course, once it's elected, that could help reconstruct the ANC and contribute to a robust process of alliance reconfiguration. But how confident are you that the current ANC is able to fulfill this mandate?
Well, the conference is going to give us a sense of that. That is why what we have said to the ANC, look, we hope you go there, you focus on organizational renewal, you bring the missing principles. We need selflessness. We need self-discipline, self-criticism, all of the issues that we hope the ANC will actually focus on. The issue of reconfiguration of the alliance, we are reconfiguring the alliance from below. We're not asking anyone's permission how to reconfigure the alliance. Before the National Congress was clear, we are going to take decisions that are about reconfiguring the alliance. We are not going to be asking the ANC to configure the alliance or give us a permission to reconfigure the alliance. We just want to give the ANC its space so that it elects its own leaders without any interference. But these are the leaders who are going to have to sit down with all of us as alliance partners to talk about how do we proceed going forward under a reconfigured alliance.
All right, let's speak then when that time comes and see what this reconfiguration then looks like. Thank you so much for your time, Sizwe. Do appreciate it. That is Sizwe Pamla, Cosatu spokesperson.